Hello and welcome back to the Poet Speaks podcast. If you like this podcast, please like, subscribe, and also share this podcast with your friends. All right, so today we have a very special guest, our next guest. Although he has been writing poetry since he was 8 years old, he found his poetic voice in the mid-1990s on a small stage in Tokyo at the popular British pub, What the Dickens. From there, he dove full on into the world of spoken word. He is the winner of several international poetry slams. He's been invited to perform globally at well-known events like the Montreal Jazz Festival, Heineken Greenroom in Singapore, and the globally televised charity event Live 8, which over 1 billion people viewed. He also made several appearances on the highest-rated Japanese television show, Kwaku Uta Gassen, with Japan's most legendary pop band, Dreams Come True. Spent an 8-year residency with the band as a lyricist, rapper, as well as spoken word performer. Please welcome to the podcast, Marcellus Nealy. Marcellus, how are you?
Woo! I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing good, doing good.
Catchphrase.
Thank you so much for coming on as a guest today. I mean, your resume is very extensive. Thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
It's absolutely my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me. I really do believe in what you're doing, so I'm very happy to support it.
Appreciate it. So tell us about where your location right now and what you're doing currently with your writing, your spoken word, and your poetry.
Right now, I live in the Shonan Beach area of Japan, which is in Kanagawa Prefecture. It's near the beach. I really love it. Mountains to the back of me and the ocean. I mean, I don't have a house right on the ocean, but 5-10 minute walk to the beach. It's really nice, go there with my dog. What am I doing now with poetry? Working on a collection of poems. We call the collection Umoja. It's being published from Tokyo Poetry Journal. It is Black Diaspora edition, and we named it that on purpose to try and sort of let people know what's inside the cover. And what is inside the cover? Basically, it's a collection of poetry, prose, illustrations, photography from Black writers and artists who are living here in Japan, but also we put a call out to the world. And so we got a lot of great people from many different countries around the world.
Yes.
I'm really proud of what we've done. It's a beautiful book. And yeah, it's going to be out maybe in February 12th should be the day that it gets released.
Phenomenal. So currently you're in Japan. I think a lot of people have no clue Japan's poetry scene out there. For you, because you've been in it since the 90s, touring with a famous Japanese pop band, being like a resident spoken word artist, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
How did you where did you fall into Japan, into the whole scene? How did you fall here? How did you get here and start being here and doing poetry?
Well, it's kind of a deep story, but a very true one. And that is, at some point in my late teens, I felt as if in order to be a better artist, because as a poet, I considered myself also to be an artist. And in order to be a better artist, it was important for me to be able to find sort of the wellspring of human experience and emotion. But at the same time, I also felt like being in America limited my ability to do that. Not because there was anything wrong with America, but because the longer you stay in America, no matter where you're from, you sort of absorb this American way of thinking. So I'm trying to understand how we humans are all connected. Where's the common ground? What emotions do we share, experiences, and all these things which I wanted to harness into artistic expression, right? I thought, okay, first thing I gotta do is I gotta leave America. I gotta go someplace where the way people think is different. The way they respond to a situation is different. The language is different, culture is different. And then if I can compare the newly thing that I had found to what I had already known and find the similarities, I thought that would be my philosopher's stone. That would be the powerful element of human experience that I could use. So I started telling people about this vision, this idea that I had. And there was a Japanese kid who lived in Cleveland. His parents had moved there His name was Ryosuke Shimizu, actually. I started telling him about this. He's like, dude, come to my house. I'm in Cleveland. My room is open. You could stay in my house. You don't have to worry about anything. And I thought, Japan. Up until that point, I never really thought about Japan, but that seemed like a great opportunity because unfortunately, I had all these big plans, but I did not have big money. So it made sense in a way for me to go to his house because I didn't have to pay, I didn't have to pay rent. I could start with a small amount of money and then just move from there, right? And so yeah, that's why I chose Japan. It made the most sense in that moment.
Absolutely, that's quite a story. So this was kind of just, you kind of just said, free willy-nilly, just let's do it. Let's go. I want to go experience that artist life and let's just go. Let's jump on board.
That's right. I left Cleveland, Ohio with $500 to my name. That was it. That's all I had. Scraped up from part-time job I had. And yeah, no plan. I didn't have a job. I didn't know what the hell I was going to do. I just knew it was time for an adventure, and so I left.
Absolutely.
I don't think I would do that now. I don't think I would do that now, but yeah, the power of youth.
If you don't mind me asking, how old were you when that took place? We just jumped ship like that.
So I am currently 52 years old, which means at that time I was 22. So 30 years ago.
Got you.
Yeah.
So now that is quite a thing. So tell us a little bit. I'm always curious, how do people, like you said, you consider yourself not only a poet, the spoken word artist, but you're an artist. When did you find out? At what age were you like, this is what I am. This is for me, poetry. This is what I want to be doing.
There were two sort of moments in my life. The first one was around the age of 8. And I was living in Cleveland, Ohio. Honestly, my family was dirt poor, like dirt poor from an American standard, right?
Mm-hmm.
We lived in the projects, go for a couple of days without eating. Environment was crumbling around me. And I remember walking through the neighborhood, which was always in disarray. You had trash in the street, windows boarded up. And I noticed for the first time in my life, the sunset. It sounds like a corny thing to write a poem about. I was 8 years old, right? And I saw the sky. It was all like Hawaii blue with strawberry swirls in it. That's how it looked to me from an 8-year-old perspective. I remember this very clearly. And then I remember having this urge to express this great emotional thing that I was feeling at this beauty. In the form of whatever an 8-year-old poet would write, I'm pretty sure it was a crappy poem, but the feeling is what I'm talking about, right? I think that for many poets, at least for me, the urge to write comes from some sort of feeling that's inside of me, deeply rooted, that has to get out. And so that moment was the emergence of that feeling. The second moment in my life was when I was in high school. Now, no one believes me when I tell them this, but I've always been an incredibly shy person, really. I actively put myself in situations where I try to get over that because I don't really like that feeling, but that's my natural state, right? So I had this friend in high school, a girl that I kind of liked, but I was too shy to tell her that I liked her, but I used to always hang out with her. She was like my best friend. And she was an artist. Like, she drew, she painted. She was really like, she was like a space alien who had come to Earth in order to spread the joy of creativity and love. That's how I saw her back then, right? So she invited me to go out with her one day. And at that time I was playing saxophone in the school band and I was terrible at it. She was like, come, let's go out. Let's explore downtown and bring your saxophone. Her name is Corey. I don't even remember her last name. So I brought my saxophone. She takes me to all these different places in Cleveland that I had never noticed before, but saw newly through her sort of artistic perspective, right? We did crazy stuff like climb to the top of the Cleveland Public Library, then climb out of a window on the roof and just sat and watched the city. That stuff I I would never do. But she showed me this kind of artistic world, right? Which I got hooked into immediately. And then we went to a street. Suddenly she stops and she says, here is the spot. I'm like, spot for what? What are we going to do? And then she's like, play saxophone. I'm like, are you crazy? I'm not playing my saxophone in public. She's like, well, then I'll play it. And she pulls it out and she's honking. And I'm like, oh man, come on, give it to me. Give it to me. So I start to play. I know the story's getting long, but it's super important in the history of how this goes, right? In that moment that I was playing, I felt the second transformation, the second sort of cosmic lightning bolt, if you will. The first one was 8 years old, seeing the beauty juxtaposed against the decay of my environment. And the second one was being sucked into this sort of sound, this music. I started playing my horn. Even to this day, I close my eyes when I performed. My eyes were closed. I started playing and everything around me vanished. And the only thing that existed in all of existence was me, her, and that sound. And then I was in that trance. And when I came out of it, opened my eyes, there was a family who had gathered. And they're like, oh, don't stop, play another song. Well, I was in my head and I couldn't play anymore, right? And then I got mad at Corey. I'm like, well, you see, you brought me out here. You embarrassed me. I can't play. I told you I couldn't play. And she put her hand on my shoulder and she said, Marcellus, don't you know? It's all about creating for yourself. That's the mission of the artist. And I was like, whoa, something happened. Amanda, it sounds like an exaggeration, but something happened to me that day. And I had never been the same since. And that was the beginning of my artistic journey, the search for that.
Interesting.
That door that I had walked through, you know.
It sounds like you turned into like a super Hulk. Like that noise you just made. Looks like at 8, you knew you had superpowers and you had to turn into an artist. But no, I like that a lot. I think that for a lot of people, whether as artists, whatever your artistic medium is, it really does kind of almost find you. I don't think you actually go seek it out. It actually just finds you, and it finds you the most random of moments. So it's a very beautiful story. Thank you for sharing that. So I'm curious then. So let's move on from childhood into your adulthood. You toured with a famous Japanese pop band. I mean, that is that's pretty crazy. It's a pretty once in a lifetime experience. Crazy. Tell us about how did that unfold for you, being like their resident spoken word artist, rapper for a good 8 years.
Yeah, they gave me the official title of MC. That was who I was. And my name is Marcellus. So I think it was too hard for Japanese people to say. So I was MC Mars. That's my name, right? So that happened purely by accident. It was a random thing. I told you I came to Japan with no plans. $500 vanished like that within a couple of weeks. Yeah. Was pretty broke for a while. And then I saw an ad in the newspaper back in the 90s. They used to put ads for English speaking jobs in a newspaper called the Japan Times. And so every Monday you get to Japan Times and you look for whatever openings are and you try to find a job. There was a lot of difficulty with me finding a job when I first got here. Yeah, I don't know how deeply I should get into that. But first, let me answer your question. So like I found a job. The company was MS Artist Products. And at that time, I was doing graphic design, making flyers and stuff like that. So I thought, wow, MS Artist must have something to do with art. It's got to be creative, whatever it is. So I'm going to apply. And I applied. It took them like 3 months to finally get back to me. So I thought I didn't get the job. They called me up. They're like, can you come for an interview? I went, I walked into the office. Immediately, I saw these posters all over the wall of Japanese artists who were mega huge at that time. And I thought, oh my God, they're doing designs for this artist and that artist. And then the vice president comes out and he's like, we are a music management company. Welcome to MS Artists. So I hide my portfolio. I'm like, I knew that. Yeah, thank you very much, sir. You know, and I went to do a couple of interviews, and I wrote on my resume anything that I did that was creative. And I had already started doing poetry performances in Tokyo at that time. So I wrote that on the resume. And I was sitting in front of this panel of people looking very serious, very unfriendly. And they said, poetry reading, what is that? And I was like, well, it's my art. This is what I do. And I still remember the poem, actually, to this day, every word of it. They're like, do it now. So it's like me in this one chair, like 5 or 6 people sitting in a panel, looking on me. They're like, do your performance now. So I did my poetry performance for them. And I got the job. And later I found out that there were like 200 candidates. And they chose me because of that poetry performance. This is a true story. So that was the management. And that management happened to be the management company for Dreams Come True, which is the artist that I was in residency with for 8 years. In 1988, Dreams Come True made their debut. By the time I joined the company, they had already gone multi-platinum, selling millions of albums. They are still selling out stadiums, very legendary, you know. So how did I go from working in the office to performing with them? One of the first things when you get into the office, they give you the speech, right? The artist is not your friend. Do not speak unless you're spoken to. If you are spoken to, keep your responses to a minimum. And then they were doing a lot of work because they had just gotten a deal with Virgin Records in the United States. So I had to go to their house and help coach them to answer interview questions in English. So I go to the house, and right away, Nakamura Masato, I don't know, for whatever reason, he just liked me. You know what I mean? I don't mean like, but like, you know what I mean? There's something.
And who is that? Could you tell us who that is?
Nakamura Masato is one of the founders of the band Dreams Come True. He's a bass player. He manages all of their business. He's a guru, you know. He built everything up from scratch to the mega empire that they have now, you know. So like, I'm at his house, beautiful house, by the way. And he's like, so who are you? Tell me about you. I had in the back of my mind that warning, don't speak unless spoken to. And then when you do, keep it to a minimum. But I was like, dude's asking me questions, so I got to answer, right? So I start telling them about myself, my hopes and dreams, everything. And then we kind of became fast friends after that, you know, which caused a lot of trouble in the office because the Japanese work style is very military-like. I was supposed to have been a soldier, silent in the background, invisible. I'm the only Black dude there, so I'm not going to be invisible, by the way. I was the only foreigner there, so I'm not going to be invisible, you know?
Yep.
So I was supposed to be in the back, invisible, but I couldn't be invisible. I had to connect, you know? And so we made that connection. After that, the people in the office started to treat me like garbage because they're like, what the hell are you doing? What are you trying to do? You overstepped your bounds, you know? So they wouldn't fire me, but they would treat me badly in the hopes that I would quit. But I'm not that weak. So I'm like, come on, bring what you got. I'll take it, you know? And eventually it got to the point where I thought I was going to quit because is this getting too long? Am I taking up too much time? Oh,
no,
sorry, right?
No, keep on going. This is very interesting. Come on.
That's all right. So there was this day, the manager, Ken Watanabe, rest in peace, he died a couple years ago. Everybody had gone to New York City, and I wanted to go too because they just left me in the office with absolutely nothing to do.
Yeah.
So I went to him and I'm like, Mr. Watanabe, sir, I would like to go to New York City the next time you guys go. I'll do whatever you guys want. I'll mop the floors if you want me to, serve tea. I don't care. I think if I'm there, I can observe more, learn more so that I can contribute. And he gives me this look and he's like, come into the office. Then he's like, how dare you? How dare you tell me what to do with you? You are my dog and you are supposed to wait for my command. I was like, I ain't nobody's dog, first of all. And I was like, wait for your command. Oh, hell no, it's time. This is the call for me to leave. Mm-hmm. And then just as I was planning my exit, I got called back to the artist's house. And Masa's like, yo, Marcellus, what's happening? I haven't seen you in a while. What's going on? I told him, I'm like, man, it's rough. I think maybe because I'm the only foreigner, they're hard on me, man. So he said, from today, you work for me. You answer to me, not to them, to me. Mm-hmm. And then he's like, what do you want to do in this company? I'm like, I want to learn the ropes. I want to learn the music industry. He's like, no, this is not a music school. This is not a university. I was like, so then give me something that I can do, that I can control. So he's like, that's what I want to hear. So he brings out of the back room a bunch of masters that he had. Masters are like the master recording of songs. There's only one in existence. He brings it out and then he says, boom, I've been trying to promote these songs. Let's see what you can do with these. It was like a bunch of dance remixes. Nobody wanted to have anything to do with this dance remixes because he was a pop artist. So I was like, thank you, sir. I'll do my best, not knowing what the hell I was going to do. Yeah. And I hit the streets. I went to every club, hand by hand, promoting this record for him. Sold a mega lot of records for vinyl. And from that moment on, I was endeared to them. He was like, damn, I'm sorry, I was about to use some profanity. Sorry. He was like, you're a soldier, I can respect that. And all the while, I was still doing my own personal poetry performances in the city. And I didn't know this, but he and Miwa, who's the lead singer, they would come and watch in the back. They would put on their like dark glasses and pull their hat down with the mask on. Mm-hmm. It wasn't Corona, but Japanese people always wear masks, right? Yeah. And they will watch the shows. So then I'm coming to the end of the story here. I'm making it short because there's actually a whole bunch more to tell. But one day they went independent because they got dropped from Virgin Records because the president who had hired them onto the label, he died or something like that. And so they got cut from the label when the new guy came. They decided to go independent. So they left MS Artists, which meant a huge amount of income went with them. And I got fired. They're like, well, we got to cut some staff. Sorry, buddy. So a couple of weeks later, I didn't have a job. I didn't know what I was going to do. I go to Moss's house again. They call me back. Sometimes they call me to help them write lyrics in English. I go back there. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, dude, I'm struggling. I don't have a job now. I don't know what to do. Hook me up. You know a lot of people. Help me get a job, I thought he was going to introduce me to a record label or something so I can continue the work that I was doing. A week later, he calls and says, why don't you come on tour with us? And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, come on tour. I'm like, I don't think that's really a good idea. He's like, what the hell are you talking about? I've been to your shows. I've seen your poetry performance. You have something that can contribute to the quality of our show. So I was like, okay. And I took up the offer and I've been doing it ever since. Well, actually, I took a long break because I got sick, but yeah.
So after that, you went on tour with them for residency for 8 years. Dreams come true. That's right. Wow. Now that's pretty, right. Again, yeah, that's an incredible story.
Shaking like a leaf. Like, there's 35,000 people. Yeah, it was scary.
Speaking of that, yeah, I mean, shaking like the leaf. I'm curious, what is it like as a spoken word artist? How did those two kind of worlds mix with that pop band and then you adding in the lyricism with poetry and rap? How did that mix? Like, how did y'all kind of go on tour with that to these different audiences, specifically Japanese audiences?
Well, the first thing is that my style of performance was improvised poetry, like freestyle, but not like a rapper whose concern, at least from my observation, whose concern is getting a rhythm and a rhyme right? Mine was, I wanted to have a sort of liquid motion of words that I could fit with music because I really wanted to become part of the musical world. So my performances normally were, there was an improvised band dudes would show up. Nobody knows what anybody's going to play. They
Mm.
begin improvisation, and then I would feel something from that and respond lyrically. That was how it went. So when it came time for Dreams Come True, first thing I had to do was I had to rein that back a little bit because it was crazy. It was wild, my performance. And I had to simplify the words, make it more accessible, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then what they would do is they didn't know really what to do with me either. So they would be like, okay, here's the song. Here's 32 measures. This is what the song means. Do something with that. And that's how it went for 8 years. Like every single tour, they give me some space and I have to make up my own parts and then just perform it,
Wow, no, Marcellus, that's a pretty phenomenal story. I mean, definitely a once in a lifetime type of thing. I mean, really, Japanese pop band, you got to be their resident spoken word artist for a good 8 years. That's what's up. And I know I've been on tour myself. That tour life is definitely lit. It's definitely crazy. Definitely a good old fun time.
Yes.
So I want to move on just a little bit. So now you've been in Japan for some decades now. Tell me, how has
you 1992, yeah.
How have you seen the Japanese poetry scene change from the 90s to the 2020s? How have you seen it change?
Well, first of all, I have to state the disclaimer before I make this statement. Every old person says, it's not like it used to be. You know what I mean? So I'm about to give that it's not like it used to be speech. Sorry about that. But back in the 90s, it seemed to me as if there was a lot more curiosity for the arts and poetry readings. It was exciting. There was a lot of poetry readings happening around Tokyo. Most of them were centered around two venues. One was a place called What the Dickens, which is still there in Ebisu. I think it opened up brand new in like 1996 or 7, somewhere around then. And then there was another place called Ben's Cafe. What the Dickens was handling English language poetry, and Ben's Cafe was doing Japanese and English. And so the scene sort of revolved around these two places. And there were many, many crazy characters as part of the scene, right? There was Edgar Henry, guy who always had a wine bottle and, hey, Marcellus, poetry. It was like being in some beatnik movie, you know what I mean? That's how it was. And it was beautiful in that sense because it was free, it was open. We were all collaborating off of each other, doing our best to develop our craft. And even in Japan, when I started to pull away from that scene, and I started to pull away because after a while, I felt like the foreign people were sort of sticking in their own foreign clique, and they were not really blending with Japanese. But we're here in Japan, and we cannot fully be an island, you know what I mean? Because our experience will be like an island. And my search was to find the commonality, the root, the connection of humanity. So I thought if I stay in the expat circle and never leave it, then this is where I'll be forever. I won't learn the language. I won't learn the culture. I won't find the philosopher's stone that I was looking for. So I started to go out of that and started to perform with first DJs. And Japanese DJs were like, holy shit, what is that? What are you doing? So, wait. Dig up a record, put on a record. They'd be like, lay that poem again, And so then I found myself performing in nightclubs. DJs would come. They would invite me to all kinds of events, and it was sort of developed from there. So today I feel like there's a lot less of that. I don't feel like there's that sort of spontaneity or creativity that was really vibrant back in the 90s. However, there are still people who are creating and doing their thing poetically. We got Tokyo Poetry Journal, for example. Those guys are working very hard to keep the scene going here in Japan. We have Writer's Block, which is run by the Jamaicans. Those guys also were doing a lot to try and keep poetry alive here in Japan, and not just for, I guess, white people, I should say, but for Black writers and artists as well. And Writer's Block is very much about getting that Black voice out, not to the exclusion of everybody else, but making sure there was representation, right? And now we got a Japanese group, which you went to do the podcast for, Kotoba. And those guys are representing on the Japanese side, you know. So there's still a poetry scene happening, although I do personally feel as if, compared to the blinding light of the crazy 90s, it's been dimmed a little bit, you know.
For sure. So let's kind of move towards that. Your work with ToPoJo, which is the Tokyo Poetry Journal. And let's talk about this new book launch that you edited, Umoja, ToPoJo Excursions, the Black Diaspora edition. Tell us why is that book so important? Tell us a little. You mentioned it. We mentioned it a little bit earlier. Tell us, why is that book so important? What's your feeling behind that? And when can folks come buy that book, and tell us a little bit about it?
Well, first of all, I think it is important because the old adage of representation is important is very true. We, Black writers and artists, do live and create here in Japan. We have been here for a while, and we have contributed greatly to the culture, not just our own culture, but to Japanese culture. And you can this is evidenced by just turn on any TV set and look at their dance moves. That's coming from break dancing and the dances that came from our community. You know what I mean? Listen to the music. You hear a lot of heavy influence of soul, jazz, R&B, all the music that came from Black culture, right? Our voice exists within the culture of this country, but it was not represented, I think. You'd have one or two people, like I was doing my thing, a couple poets were doing their thing, but nothing like, for example, Tokyo Poetry Journal, which, bless their hearts, they represent poetry quite well, but not very diverse in terms of the people who were producing stuff, you know what I mean? And so it was actually Jeffrey Johnson, one of the editors-in-chief of Tokyo Poetry Journal, who came to me with the idea. He's like, I want to produce a book of Black writers. What do you think about that? I was like, yeah, of course I like that idea. I really think it's a wonderful idea, you know. I guess him being white felt like he couldn't do it himself. He didn't say that. I'm just guessing, you know. So he's like, what do you think about taking the reins on this then? And I was like, oh, that sounds really good. I was a bit hesitant at first just because I didn't really understand what he was after, what he was trying to do, or what it meant to him. But then I thought, does it really matter? What matters most is, what does it mean to me? And to me, it meant an opportunity to collect those voices into one spot, an opportunity to share our works, an opportunity to have that representation, and an opportunity to show the power that has always existed, but sort of like diaspora. It's everywhere, you know, it's in every corner. And so I thought having that in one volume was great. And it's important because it is the first time that it's happened, as far as I know. And so it's sort of groundbreaking in that way. It sets a kind of a historical precedent, and hopefully it'll be the first of many.
Absolutely. So that name Umoja, that sounds exactly some consciousness of the African Black diaspora. What is the name?
That's
Swahili. Can you tell us what the name means? Umoja.
It's a Swahili word. It's I think one of the 7 tenets of Kwanzaa, maybe. But the word itself means unity, and so to me it was the perfect word because the diaspora is about the unity of Black people, despite the diversity, the great diversity that exists within the African diaspora. I mean, people try to make it seem as if we all have to think the same, act the same, walk the same, look the same, dress the same, eat the same. But in reality, we are all individuals, have our own ideas, our own thoughts, our own ways of expression, our own cultures, countries.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there is a common experience that we share as well. And so that's what the whole book was representing, you know.
So I think that's so lovely. I think a lot of people may not even be aware of any type of Black diaspora in Japan, but especially in this niche Black diaspora poetry, Black folks making poetry in Japan from all across the board. So I think Umoja is definitely for folks out there. Please do check out Umoja, ToPoJo Excursions, the Black diaspora editions. Definitely something to read, and so I'm sure so many talented poets. I saw some of the lineup on the Facebook group. So again, congratulations to you on that. So as we are wrapping up, Marcellus, I mean, you've given us so many gems today, as well as some of these amazing stories. Tell us, what do you think people can take away from spoken word and poetry?
Spoken word represents the expression of human experience. And I think that people who are performing spoken word can return to their true states, their original state, the state that they were in before they were encased in skin and bones. This is how I've always seen it. And this has always been my journey. And for those who are listening and experiencing spoken word, I believe that they can gain the power that the poet gains from this journey. And there is a power to be had. And I know that you felt it too, Amanda, when you're in the moment, when you are awash with words that seem to have come from nowhere, like from the cosmic source of all things. Yeah. And that freedom that it gives you, right? The ability to release that creative energy, that emotional energy. And the person who hears it and experiences it also gets washed up in that release and sort of gets to have the opportunity to be connected to the wellspring of human expression. That's, for me, what it's always been about. And I'm going to be following that mission until I'm old and like, oh, Amanda, nice to see you again. You know, I'm gonna be still doing it.
Yeah. You know what? It's crazy because I do vibe with what you're saying completely. I think that poetry for me has always been articulating emotions that you are not able to really articulate. You know what I mean? You're trying to find words to articulate what you can articulate. That's what you're using your voice to do. Emotions that you can't really put your finger on. You're trying to articulate that. And it does. Yeah. I think for anyone that performs poetry, I can just only speak for myself, but you do feel a swept away phenomenon almost, because you're articulating what's so deeply rooted in you. Like you said, it's something before you were skin and bones and teeth and eyes and hair. What were you? You know, you're trying to articulate that spirit that's within you, you know, and that only you can't really articulate what that means until you really get on, you know, whether it be get on a stage or get it on a page, you're really trying to come to life what's inside of you. And it's a very sense, you know, it's like our using our full senses, all 5 of our senses, engaging in that to engage in what truly is poetry and artistry, and specifically with our spoken word. So I definitely can agree with that one.
I know you said you're about to wrap up, but there's just one important thing that you touched on, right? I remember I said that I started to improvise with music. The reason why I did that was to create more freedom to tap into this wellspring, to open myself up to what I called the God voice. It was like, not God as in the one deity God, but the God of who I am. I believe we're all gods sent here and encased in this flesh and bones, right? My original voice, the voice of my true spirit. I feel like I can connect to it through poetry, right? And so improvisation helped me to get rid of concern for, oh, did I say this word right? Did I say that word right? And allow me the rawest, most direct access to that portal, as it were.
Absolutely. Beautiful. So
Did that make sense?
That did. We got
right.
one last question for you. One last question before we wrap up here. So tell me, Marcellus, why do you need to get your words out?
I don't know, honestly. It is a urge that has lived within me since that first moment in the Cleveland Project, CNN Sky, and it's like, why do we have to eat? Why do we have to breathe? Why do we need water? It's just something that my spirit has always needed. And there's a force that pushes me forward, that forces me to do it. I don't know.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. It's a wonderful answer. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. So as we wrap up, this has been such a beautiful conversation talking about such a range of things in your very eccentric, interesting life so far as a writer and as an artist. A photographer too, yeah. A photographer as well. So what is 2022 looking like for your writing and beyond? And also, where can folks find you online for this new book release, all that good stuff? Please do tell us.
2022 is getting prepared probably for another tour with that pop band in 2023. So I got to get in shape, rehearse and all that stuff. Next thing is the book release this year. That's going to be released February 12th, actually. And we're going to have a book release party in Daikanyama at a place called, oh my God, the name is so long, right? Haretara Sora ni Mame Maite. That's the actual name of the venue. If you translate it to English, it means when it's sunny, sow beans in the sky. It's a beautifully poetic name. That's in Daikanyama, like 30 seconds away from the station. The website is haremame, HAREMAME.com. So you can go there. Information about that's already on the website. They put that up a couple days ago. Other than that, continue my photographic journey along with poetry. I've been really deeply into photography. That happened from the age of 13 when I went to summer camp, and they taught me how to take pictures, and I've been taking them ever since. Won lots of awards for that as well. So I'll probably do some gallery shows around the city. My photographs will also be in the book along with my poems. And I'm also a professor at a university here in Japan. And we're going to release a book through that as well. I've written a new textbook and with a bunch of other professors, and it's boring. It's just medical training materials. But still, I got to eat. So yeah, that's coming out. And what else? I guess my kids graduate from school. Woohoo! So I'm going to be free.
So
that's going to be my year.
Phenomenal. Is there an Instagram? I know you mentioned the website. Instagram we can check out for Umoja or any of your personal Instagram, all that good stuff.
There is Instagram. How do I? Marcellus Nealy. I guess if you just go to Instagram and search for Marcellus Nealy, you should be able to find it. I know that's the name. I'm not saying that because I don't want people to find me. I just don't know how to tell people to find me on Instagram. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. And Facebook as well. You can find me on Facebook.
All right. Well, thank you.
Although on Facebook, if I have not met you, I probably won't accept a friend request from you. Sorry about that, people.
All right, no issue. All right, so everyone, please do look out for Umoja ToPoJo Excursions Black Diaspora Edition. The link will be down below in the YouTube video. Thank you so much, Marcellus. This was such a great conversation.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So everyone, please do like, comment, subscribe, share this with your good friends, share this with your family, share this with your peoples. This is the Poet Speaks podcast, and we will see you very soon. Bye-bye.